Somebody stole my engine. Here's an interesting one for you. The Audi V6 of the same era as the 1.8T, so late 90s, early 2000s. While everybody knows about the 1.8Ts, 5 valve per cylinder, blah blah blah, really tunable, proper works of art really, you know, with massive tuning potential. Most people don't realise these are just 6-cylinder versions of the 1.8T. They even look exactly the same. Just with, you know, it is literally 2 banks of 1.8T with 1 cylinder missing. They're 5 valve per cylinder, 3 inlet to exhaust. Even the same shape ports as the 1.8T, but these are big port. This particular one, it's VVTi, drive-by-wire throttle. It's basically a 6-cylinder 1.8T. The internet, as usual, says these weigh about 200 kilos. Bear in mind, the 1.8T, we weighed it at 110. So me and Thomas just stripped all the stuff off this one, and it's like, hang on, this don't look like it would weigh 200 kilos. And bearing in mind, the 1.8T, when we weighed it in that previous video, it was more bare than this. It had no alternator, none of this crap. There's probably an extra 10 kilos of stuff on this, you know, considering even an alternator is probably 8 kilos. But yeah, they reckon 200 kilos on the internet. It come out as 145 kilos. So realistically, with 10 kilos off it, well, even if it's 145, that's 35 kilos more than a 1.8T, and this is a 2.8, so it's an extra litre and 2 more cylinders. And with 10 kilos off, it's, you know, what, 25 kilos difference between this and a 1.8T. So these are fucking light engines. Light considering it's a 30 valve, properly high flowing, high revving, massive potential 2.8 litre engine. So yeah, pretty badass. And again, shows, ignore what internet says about engine weights. I saw somebody earlier slagging off rotaries, saying don't put a rotary in your car, it's too heavy. And they were saying it was heavier than a 2JZ. It's like, no, you never picked up a rotary. I know, genuinely. And I was like, where'd you get that from? He's like, oh, that's what I read on the internet. It's really heavy. It's like, it's a fucking rotary, dickhead.
So you know what? I see something on the MR2s. I don't know where, if it was Instagram or Facebook or some group. I can't remember. But someone actually says, did anyone try to put a rotary engine in one of these?
Yeah.
And suggested, well, give us we use.
Yeah.
Well, we can use both.
Yeah.
So all what you do, you know. It's like, oh, you don't want to put that shit in. It's heavy and big and all this stuff. It's like, have you ever seen a rotary engine?
Exactly.
Because you say it's big and it's heavy. It's none of this stuff.
This was a MX-5. Somebody was asking whether, you know, about putting an RX-8 engine in one, and this geezer piped up, oh, I don't want to put. Why would you put a rotary in it? You'd ruin the weight, you know, big heavy rotary and all this stuff. And it was like, what the fuck? And he's like, and I was like, have you ever seen one? They're tiny. He's like, yeah, I've seen them. They're small, but they're all this massive lump of cast iron. It's like, no, it's fucking not. It's got fucking aluminium rotors. It's just literally the middle and end plates are fucking.
Hey, let's be honest. If you really know how the rotary works and know the engine, how would you not want one?
Exactly. Thing is, Geezer's you know what though? He was arguing. I was like, I've had rotaries. I've picked up fucking dozens of them over the years. Trust me. And he's like, yeah, but you got any proof how much they weigh? It's like, no, I've fucking physically carried them. I have not weighed one, but I know they weigh fucking nothing. And he's like, yeah, but the internet says that. And basically his argument was he was right and I was talking shit, because although I've owned them and picked them up and carried them and whatever for years, he read it on the internet and the internet said 200 kilos.
This is 200 kilograms.
Yeah. The internet says this is 200, which is physically twice the fucking size of a rotary, and this is only really 145.
Well, less than that, 135.
Well, 135 out with all the bullshit on it, because you've got alternator, metal, loads of pipes, the heat exchanger, lots of stuff still not needed, but we just took off the, you know, the worst of it. And then we was like, holy shit.
Well, you know, you may argue because these engines are not very, for some reason, so commonly used. It's not so much of them like in the tuning world. People don't really maybe soon.
I think it's because they're wankers to work on in what they're fitted to. Yeah.
It's not going to be in this one.
Yeah.
But so okay, there's not so much knowledge about rotaries. How could you say it's heavy and it's bad and all that stuff?
I know. Talk about obvious.
I think the only reason we're not using the rotaries and amateurs is because they're expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
In this country, and that's it. That's the only reason.
If I could do rotaries cheap, I'd have one right now, even though they're not. Yeah. You know, even though I don't trust the tuners in this country, I'd still fucking have one if they were cheap enough.
Give me rotaries for the same price as 1.8s or even these. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd be already amateur with the rotary.
Oh fuck yeah! I would rotary everything if I could get them cheap enough. But yeah, people just talk shit and they will argue they're right.
It's because people want to know everything, but don't actually want to learn.
No, but it's literally telling me over and over again I'm talking shit when he's never owned or anything one. I've picked up dozens of them, but he's read it on the internet, so he's right. It's like, mate.
Oh, do you remember that blog? He was arguing. We actually waited. Do you remember at the beginning when I was doing the 1.9 swap in mine?
Yeah.
So we waited actually the two engines and we see the difference.
Yeah.
And we see it's like, okay, this is the weight and this is the weight of the other one. There you go. We shown in the video the scale and it shows and everything live.
Yeah.
This bloke was still arguing. That was lying.
Exactly.
Now he doesn't weigh that much. He weighs less, and that one weighs much more.
People,
have a look on the video.
People are fucking dickheads.
No, he still knew better. What is the reason for me to making this up?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Who cares?
People are fucking dickheads. That's why it's really. It does my head in a bit because like only literally like I'm not saying or doing these things to show off because it's like it don't matter a fuck to us. I'm literally telling you because it's helpful. But instead, you're telling me I'm wrong when I fucking proved it. It's like
if this shown 165, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Why should they make something up?
Who gives a fuck? Nobody's even mentioned these. It's just something we happen to decide. Oh, we better weigh this.
This is not like a competition. To show a light as edge. Who cares? We just want to find out how much it weighs. Big surprise, which less than the internet says. There you go. Have a look.
Because to be honest, like the internet said 200, I said no way. But even after all this, I was like 160.
Yeah, but you actually say I want to call it 140, but I want to exaggerate.
Yeah, at first I said my immediate thought was 140 if I was going to be like, Then I thought, nah, that's surely taking the piss. So I said 160, and it's kind of I was pretty much right the first time, which is a shame. But
this
when you picked up too many engines, when you can make a guess by looking at them.
This is 135 because there's at least 10 kilograms there.
Yeah, because I mean that's not a small alternator. So that is you've got an alternator, you've got the engine mount still on that side, you've got the metal, you've got a lot of pipes, you've got the heat exchanger. That's easy 10 kilos. Fucking hell, it's about 2 kilos of dirt there as well. So yeah, 135 kilo engine, and it's a fucking good design engine too. So. Yeah, these got some potential. I mean, we know turbo ones of these and RS4s and stuff have gone like 1,000 plus horsepower anyway, so we know there's potential, but when you look at it, it's like, yeah, it's a nice design. Somebody stole my engine. Nah, not really. I've refitted it. It is in. Looking pretty nice too. Still, obviously, quite a lot to go, but it's in. Quite tricky getting it in on your own. Out's a piece of piss. In takes a bit of wangling. Mostly, one person operating the up and down on the fucking crane, on the lift, sorry, and one person making sure it's all lined up right. But it's basically on. It's not all the mounts are in yet, but it's it's staying in place. So yeah, that's all good. Thankfully, the inlet with the new spacer still clears everything. It looked this is the first time I've put the engine in with the inlet still attached, and it's definitely less easy, but it can still be done, as you can see. In fact, I fitted it with the throttle body facing another direction because I couldn't remember which way it was meant to go. and it made it a lot tighter. But I still fitted it, and then once it was in, it was like, hang on, the throttle body weren't round this way. So then I unbolted the throttle body in situ, rotated it, and put it back. And even that was possible, you know what I mean? It's like, it's all pretty good space-wise in here, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, look, the starter's on, the alternator's on, it is, you know, complete. A few things to note. First up, I took off the front engine mount just because it helped with clearance on the inlet. And, yeah, it's a TRD one. Total Racing Developments. Well, this one had a TRD sticker on it, so it's like, oh, that's TRD. But this one, yeah, once I'd actually removed it, yeah, it's got a sticker underneath. So yeah, the car's got TRD mounts, and obviously I filled them full of basically Tiger Seals, so they're fucking pretty solid now as well. So they're even more TRD. They're TR Stav as well. No, what's that? SRD, Stav Racing Developments. Anyway, oh, I'll tell you what as well. I deliberately didn't mention it in the last video, but everybody on both Instagram and in the video comment section, I'm surprised people notice, but it shows how eagle-eyed people are and how they remember my other engines. Yes, that is an Evo anti-lag valve. And yes, it is connected to the standard EGR setup on these. Basically, on these 180s, the EGR is inside the head. It's a pipe off the side of the head, just there. And it runs through the head, and then there's a small outlet port, or, well, with EGR, it's an inlet port, but there's a small port behind each exhaust valve. I think it's, well, there's at least one in each port. I don't know if there's one behind each exhaust valve, as in all 8, or if there's just one per port, but it's behind the valves, or valve, on each port. So there's 4 or 8, I don't even know. They're small, but it is a direct port EGR. And all fresh air anti-lag is backwards EGR. And so in theory, this will work, but I'm not holding my hopes up for it to be anything super special, because the port is quite small, basically. It's not some big ball pipe where, like, you know, serious anti-lag. But I thought, fuck it, I want to try. So that's exactly why this is here. So I can see if the anti-lag setup I've made using all standard parts will do anything. Technically, it should. Whether it's enough to make any noticeable difference, I don't know. But fuck it. Even if it does good bangs and flames, then fuck it, it's a bonus, isn't it? But I'm just interested to find out. There's no downsides to me trying. So, yeah, here it is. I'm going to, obviously, that pipe there will go to one of the boost pipes. Then the vacuum port on the top of the anti-lag valve will go to the inlet manifold via a basically like a boost solenoid type thing. So I can switch it on and off. I'll use a switch on the dash. Fuck knows if it'll work, but yeah, if you wondered, that is exactly why it's there. As you can probably see, things have progressed pretty rapidly. It's more complete than it's ever been. Even with the mock-up, it was never this complete. So obviously the exhaust is back on, including all the fancy wrapping. It now has an oil cooler plumbed in. Made some brackets. Literally, as ever with me, those brackets were random. I think they was originally RX-7 intercooler black brackets that I've, you know, cut to suit. Made the hoses to run back to where the original oil filter goes, because I'm going to run an oil filter relocation thing there. Just because it makes life easier. As you can see, things are mostly plumbed in already. Oil feed and returns done. All the engine mounts are in and sorted now. The anti-lag valve is plumbed into the inlet. Yeah, it's fucking getting there. Even all the boost pipes are on. They've been modified from how they were before. They're in the same basic position, but the pipe work has changed because I needed a T-piece for that and so on and so forth. I need a suitable oil filter for that, because it turns out every bloody oil filter I've got here is the wrong thread. But that's no big deal, I'll grab one tomorrow. So yeah, it's getting very close, like very close. I'm just doing the intake piping, which is super tight, like tight. But I've made it nicer than it's ever been on any of my previous designs. So obviously 90. Then I found some aluminium 90-degree bends, so I've been cutting them to the right size, and then making the lips with my, you've probably seen it before, but I've got one of these bead rollers, literally Chinese Alibaba job, but it's blatantly exactly the same one as certain big name American ones that sell for big bucks. It's exactly the fucking same. I saw him using, I think, this exact thing on either Rob Darms or Hoonigan or one of the big channels the other day, and it was the big brand one, and it's exactly the fucking same, like exactly. They even was like they was even pissing and moaning about the fact the handle comes off and stuff, because it does. It's a bit shit, no matter how, because it's got like a tightening thing, but I don't know if you can see, but it snapped off almost immediately, because it's not actually great quality, but it does some lovely bead rolling very easily. So to be honest, you don't really need to bead roll intake pipes because you haven't got boost pushing it off, but it looks nicer and it fits a bit better like that, so I'm doing it anyway. So yeah, again, these are just pipes I'd lying around. You know what I'm like, I don't like buying stuff, and also it's fucking close to Christmas, so the odds of anyone being able to send you anything in time is frankly zero. Just that's the boost pipe. It goes from the throttle to through the car. I've actually modified that a little bit too. It's better than before. You wouldn't really notice, but trust me, it is. We are highly likely to weld the intake temp sensor, well, the boss for it, here. Reason being, normally it's on the inlet, and while you can get to it, it's a fucking pain in the ass place. And this car, to me, you know, like I always say, it's all about sort of ease of use, and that's the only thing on this car. It's a bugger to get to, so gotta relocate it. It's either gonna go there, or we might even do it on the boost pipe in the car. As long as it's after the charge cooler, it makes no difference. But probably there's easier. But I see what Thomas is saying. It's all aluminium pipe, so it's easy done. But yeah, we're actually really getting there. Very happy with it so far. Some parts it's like, oh god, this don't look easy, but I've managed it. Bearing in mind at the moment as well, at the moment it's only 3 engine mounts on it. You got the one that side, the one that side, and the one that side. There is a rear one, you know, like the dog bone mount that Volkswagen Audis have as standard. That is actually not fitted at the moment, but look how rock solid it is already. There is literally no movement. You probably don't even need that rear one, but I'd rather have it, so that will be attached. But fuck me, the engine is it's in place. Believe me, it is in place. Pretty happy with how it's going. It's still nice to work on. I've made sure of that. I could have done it a lot faster, especially the stuff I've done today, if I was just getting it in place. But I've been mindful of like how easy things are going to be worked on in the future, because cars that are wankers to work on are just not fun. So I've redesigned a lot of things, even from how it was, to make it nicer to work on. Even this sounds daft, but the position it's in, I've been refitting and removing the rear light and everything to make sure I can still get all the bulbs out and everything easier if I have to change any bulbs. So I didn't want like any of this to be in the way of like me changing bulbs. It'd be a wanker to have to fucking take the whole rear light out to change a bulb or whatever. But no, the way this is, it doesn't affect it. Just thought I'd film a tiny bit more because I've added a bit more of the pipe work, and to be perfectly honest, I'm really chuffed with my work. Just looks really good. It's a proper badass setup. That's the intake pipe sorted, and even that I'm very impressed with. I'm not happy with that air filter still. It just doesn't fit very well. It's the wrong shape. It's not like it's too big. It's big, but it's just kind of the wrong shape to fit down there. It's a pain in the ass. Oh, and I sorted where the oil feeds go in now, which is way neater as well. So I'm really chuffed with that. So yeah. Oh, one thing I didn't mention on the video, the last clip, my oil catch tank that I was going to use, the one that was on the in-car turbo Mercedes, and I've modified since to work with this, it ain't going to fit. As much as there's a fair bit of room in this engine bay, not enough room for that. It's too fucking tall. It's really tall. It doesn't need to be that tall. It can literally be half as tall, because I can't even remember why we made it that tall. I think it was just because it was just a random piece of pipe we had lying around and, you know, just welded caps on the end. But it needs to be about half as big. So, and it does, you know, there's no use for it being as big as it is. So it might be a case of chopping it up, literally chopping it in half and re-welding it. Because if I can mount it somewhere here, because what I'd like to do is have it so the cam cover breather port goes into the top of it somewhere, but the bottom of the port, you know, the bottom port returns to the crankcase, which it does down there, sort of a bit below gearbox level, but not by, well, about gearbox, the top of the gearbox roughly. So it needs to slope downhill from there, which means realistically it needs to be mounted somewhere here and be relatively shallow. It don't need to be a big breather, you know, box, pot, whatever you want to call it at all. It's the next day, and good and bad news. Mostly good. The only bad bit isn't actually important. Well, not to me. Maybe to you lot. The bad news is the car ain't going to run this video. The good news is it was only going to run for the sake of, oh look, the car's running. In reality, it wouldn't have been driving or anything, so who really gives a shit? It's pretty much all wired in, as you can see. Few wires left to be modified, like because the MAF sensor is there rather than in the usual position, it needs making longer, you know, a few bits and pieces, but generally it's all there. I need to do the wire to the battery. The battery is going to be inside now, so that's another wire it needs changing. Throttle pedal needs fitting, you know, bits and pieces. The bright side of it not running is getting it running just for the sake of showing you the engine running. I mean, who cares? It's just a 1.8T. It runs, big deal. Not bothering with that means I can just do things in the logical order and get things done faster. Because the thing is, some things I would do just to get it running would have to then be removed or modified for how I'd want it, you know, and well, to finish everything else off and to get it how I wanted it. So fuck that shit. I know it's not the YouTuber way, but I'm not a fucking YouTuber. I'm just building cars for fun. So I'll show you what I have been doing though. This pipe here is for the breather system. As I've explained previously, and as you'd have seen on my Volvo, I like the breather systems to be done properly, so it's not a fucking catch tank that fills with oil. It's got to return back to the engine. And as you'd have seen in previous videos, I got that catch tank that I was using on the Mercedes CLK, and I modified it for a return. So it was going to return to the sump via this from here really, and job done. Unfortunately, I didn't really think about this until I tried to pull it in the engine bay. It was way too fucking big, like twice as tall as what it needs to be to fit in this car. But there was a solution, and it was a fucking good one too. Basically, that was roughly how it was, other way up of course, and I just chopped the whole middle out of it, and I'm going to weld it back together like that. It will be this way up, so that it will fit in the engine bay. It will work just as well as that, because unlike in the CLK where it's just this catch tank, on this it's a proper breather system, so it will return to the crankcase via this, and job done. So I'm going to weld that back together in a bit with my quite bad skilled TIG welding, but it's going to be done. I'm going to use this battery, this super lightweight lithium battery that was in the Corolla, because the Corolla's going to be on the road after this and after the MX-5, because they're both nearly finished. The Corolla's going to donate its battery to this for now, just because it's easier than buying another one for no reason, and I just have to buy another one for the Corolla when the time comes. That's going to be in car, like it was in the Corolla. The one thing I've changed, because although it's not pretty, it's not about looks, it's about I don't want my car to burn down, is I decided to wrap the battery cover in like cloth tape. And the reason is, I was always very, I don't know, maybe it's me, but an aluminium or metal full stop cover that close to battery terminals, I was never particularly happy with. Like, literally, that's just asking for shit to like arc over and cause big spikes and bangs and fires and shit. And when it's a lithium battery, and we all know how them things can go up, I'd really rather not. So yeah, I covered the whole thing in that, so it's a lot less likely, not impossible, but a lot less likely to accidentally touch metal on metal and cause sparkleages and fires and shit like that. I have ripped out that air filter. Remember I said I wasn't happy with it? Well, I'm really not happy with it. What have I done with it now? Yeah, I've pulled it out. It's pretty wrecked now, to be honest. I've ruined it. Literally got on a pissy with it and smashed it up. But all these pipes are, you know, jubileed up, so everything's where it should be. It just needs a suitable filter, which I will have to order. Unfortunately, being so close to Christmas, chances are I got no hope of getting it before Christmas, but we will see. I fitted the oil cooler and all that last night, and then Thomas today reminded me that we needed to fit the original MR2 header tank, because that's how the coolant system works on these setups that he's designed. And the lines were in the way, so I modified them a little bit, slightly moved over the oil cooler. It's still in a rock solid position. It's probably in a better position than it was, to be honest. And now it just allows this to be in the OEM place, and happy days. Still can get to all the bulbs and all that. So, not a problem. So yeah. Elsewhere on the car, the gear knob, which was that awful, I think it was Richbrook or some shit. I ground off the chromy bits off it because I like the fact it's a nice weighty gear knob. It's a decent sort of size and shape. But I didn't want the Richbrook logo. I didn't want all the fucking chromy crap on it. So I just ground everything off. So now it's just dull. I think it's I don't know if it's stainless steel or aluminium. It's something. And I've yeah, attached it properly. So now it's on properly, and it doesn't look like AIDS. You know, it's not pretty, but it's not about being pretty. So that's that. And I think that's it. So I think my next job is to attempt some TIG welding on that. As long as I can remember how to do it. I seem to forget every couple of days. That's the breather system sorted. And in all honesty, I know it's like a minor thing to most people, but that's one of my favourite things I've done actually. It's really fucking ideal. Basically, I've got the main breather from the cam cover to the breather pot, the big one from the crankcase to the bottom, which also means if any oil comes in, it's a downhill back, so we're not going to be filling up with oil. I use the spare ports as breathers, fits in a nice place, job done. Not my most work of art TIG welding, but functional is functional. That's really all I give a shit about, to be fair. It's the next day and I'm fucking knackered. Genuinely, this is going to be the end of the video because I need some fucking time off doing this bloody car. I mean, to be fair, I've built it from a completely standard car that had sat for 4 years and was shite. You know, I've done underneath and, well, I've done everything. Complete underside, complete engine bay and fucking front bonnet. You know, clean up and paint, just the whole lot. In the space of a month, and obviously only a few days each week for about a month. But fucking hell, you know, trying to combine that with working is fucking ruined me. I need some time off. I mean, literally driving here this afternoon, after doing all the things I had to do this morning, I was so tired. I got 2/3 of the way here and had to pull in at a lay-by because I just felt fucked. And next thing I know, I woke up about half an hour later. I literally, within about fucking 2 minutes, it seems, of stopping, just passed out in the seat because I was that tired. So, yeah, and I'm fucked again now. I literally came here just to do a few bits and pieces, bring a few things, and see if they could finally, a week later than when they said they would, well, probably 2 weeks later, I can't even remember anymore, MOT the yellow MR2 for me. And they still haven't fucking done it. So I give up. Every time it's like, yeah, we'll do it later. And then they go home. So yeah, that's yet another reason why I do stuff myself. I mean, for fuck's sake, I spent, but some of it Thomas will give me back, just over £1,000 with a laser cutting company to cut some stainless steel. Thomas, you know, basically it was all the parts for Thomas to make more mounts, and another thing that I got a load cut of, which is handy, but I won't even bother talking about it yet because until I can actually sell it to people, there's no point. And lo and fucking behold, the laser cutting company has completely ballsed it up. They did Thomas's mounts not accurate enough, so they don't fit without loads of work, and that completely defies the fucking point. And the things that I got made, they've made them half as fucking thick as they should have been. They basically made them the same thickness as Thomas's mounts, which is no use for what I want doing. So basically you can't fucking rely on anybody, and that's why I do all my own shit, because then it gets done. If you fucking rely on anyone else, you're fucked usually. You either have to spend a fortune or wait forever, or more often than not, both. And I ain't got money or fucking patience, and I don't like being dicked about, so I can't be dealing with that, so I just fucking do it myself. Unfortunately, the very few things you do have to rely on people for fucks everything over. But anyway, I'll show what I've done today. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, constantly yawning. In here, I've finished putting on all the clamps and everything for the charge cooler and all that. And then I was like, right, and I need to work out how the battery's going. My initial thought was over there somewhere. But then there was no real good place to pull it. Like, there's room, but there's no like handy mounting holes or anything, so I'd have had to have either welded on bolts or captive nuts or something to attach it with, or something like that, and it would have been a right pain, because anything behind the bulkhead is the engine, so suddenly it's not that easy to attach things to, and it's just a ball ache. So I thought, fuck it, let's see what else I could think of. So my next thought was behind the glove box, or basically instead of the passenger airbag. So I removed the passenger airbag, and it's massive on these and really heavy, so I'm glad I removed it. It's like weighs probably twice what the battery does, but still the position, to mount it in there would have been a lot of work, and it still wasn't that handy. So it's like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I spent a lot of thinking. I was going to maybe pull it in the front there. I think, I don't want to run really long battery cables into the front, and obviously it's not exactly weatherproof, so I don't really like batteries being there where water would be getting. And then I thought, what about in the engine bay? Because obviously that's where they are as standard, but there's no room where they normally go. So I thought, well, where is there room? Because obviously it's a big engine bay. I managed to put loads of stuff, and the answer is there. That is the Powerlight lithium battery it was in the Corolla, and I've mounted it there. What I basically did was made a stainless steel plate, which is, you can't see it now, but it's basically a rectangle with the middle cut out, just to make it not so fucking heavy, and to also allow me more places to weld it on. And I welded that plate in 4 places to the original chassis part of the car, and then drilled the holes to bolt through it, and then use the original mount to bolt onto that, and it is fucking rock solid and in a perfect place. So yes, ideal. Very happy with that. Heat wise, it should be absolutely fine. This is all wrapped, it's not gonna be very hot, but I might maybe get some of that reflective fucking heat reflective tape bollocks. I've probably got some upstairs, to be honest. I can't remember anymore. I might use some of that. It's probably a bit pointless. I don't think it'll matter, but I might do anyway. Another thing I've done is fitted the dipstick, and this was one where it was like, oh, hang on. Basically, the dipstick is on that side of the engine, the inlet side. But if you look at, say, this engine, for example, it's behind the inlet manifold, literally at the very back of the engine. And if it was at the very back of the engine on this, it would be behind the, you know, behind the inlet manifold. I wouldn't be able to fucking get it out. It would be impossible. But after buying a new dipstick and tube from GSF Car Parts, because it was literally less than a tenner for both. It's like, I think they're like they're considered a service part on these 180 engines, because they're just kind of, they go brittle because they're plastic. But either way, got one from there, and I had a look at it and realised if you mount it backwards, it goes in enough to go between the inlet runners like that. And lo and behold, that allows you to pull it out properly, which I've tried already many times, to check the oil without a problem. So that slight worry is no longer a worry. So yeah, that's where we are for now, and that's going to be the end for this video. And don't know when the next one's going to be. I mean, it's only a few days till Christmas now. The next one, realistically, the car's got to start, because there's fuck all else left to do. And no doubt I'll get a second wind on this and carry on in a couple of days, but for now I have fucking had enough, and I'm definitely not going to carry on with it tomorrow. So yeah, it ain't going to start before Christmas. And I was kind of banking on my yellow one to be ready either for this video or at least before Christmas. But I bet you their last opening's tomorrow, and I bet you they ain't going to do it. And I'm not going to fucking go and ask again, because I've been reminding them practically every day. And I ain't going again tomorrow just to go, oh, you're going to do my MOT? And they go, yeah, later. And then they don't. So, fuck it. Yeah. So, yeah. This will almost certainly be the last one before Christmas. I doubt if it's the last one before the new year, because I just get on with this shit. But yeah, the last one before Christmas. So, hope you fuckers have a good Christmas. I can't stand Christmas, to be fair. So, you know, I'm not fucking super excited about it. But, yeah, hope you all have a good time. And I will see you on the next video, which will probably, my guess, be somewhere between Christmas and New Year. I hope. So, yeah, see you later.